What's up, gamers? Dylon57 coming at you with an epic tutorial. Do you want to learn how to speedrun Doom the Dark Ages? Well, this is the video for you. We're going to start with the tools and settings, then we're going to talk about each individual piece of tech as we carry throughout the run, and then we're going to do a level-by-level explanation so you can start mantle warping to your heart's content. Are you ready to get started? I know I am. As far as notable settings go, we definitely want to make sure that we go into the gameplay section and we turn off the tutorials. That's pretty big. Auto switch off. Weapon bob off. Yeah, most of this really isn't important. Under inputs, there are going to be a couple of inputs that we're going to need to rebind. So here, for instance, I have the shoot button bound to B. And then I also have the dossier bound to B. That's going to be important for late timing shield boosts. So you'll definitely want to make sure that you have shoot and dossier bound to the same key. I also have use bound to scroll up just to make interacting with stuff a little bit faster. Under the Atlan settings, I have use bound to E because G is a bad key for that to be bound to. So I just put it on E as well, to make that a little bit easier to press. Then under the dragon controls, I have use bound to E, because again, control is a bad button for that to be bound to. And then I also have the autocannon bound to scroll up. That's going to be very, very important. Under video settings, you're going to want to make sure that your performance metrics are set to low. So you'll have your FPS readout up here. I set my field of view all the way to 120. It actually does help with knowing when a mantle warp is going to work because your map zooms out like crazy. So I do recommend having your field of view set to 120. And as far as your actual graphics settings are concerned, a lot of people use DLSS because we try to hit 200 frames per second. It just makes the game run a lot more smoothly. And also, the higher your frame rate is, the faster weapon wheel clips work, so that's important for that reason. So yeah, I set everything to low just so I always have the highest frame rate I could possibly have. So there's that. As far as tools for the run, we don't really have a whole lot of tools that we use. The main thing is that you need to make sure that you're able to cap your frame rate to 200 frames per second. That's part of the rules. In order to do that, there's a couple of ways. One is either in-game using the console, or the other is by using an auto hotkey script. I will link a paste bin to my auto hotkey script that I use because I find the in-game binds to be a little inconsistent with frame time. But regardless, you can use the auto hotkey script to keep your frames capped at 200 frames per second, and you can also use that to toggle your frames per second for different things that we'll need to do throughout the run. Or you can open up the console after you've run the TDA unlocker. I will also be linking that in the description. And the command is com_adaptive tick max hertz. You can also do bind space key space com_adaptive tick max hertz. So that is an option. I'll leave that command below in the description as well. Other than that, if you're using the auto hotkey script, you'll want to also use Rivatuner Statistics Server. Pretty easy to download, not a big deal. And yeah, you can go into the auto hotkey script and you can rebind those keys however you like as well. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the different techniques that you're going to need to use throughout the run. I feel like it's going to be easier to explain it now, so whenever I'm going into the levels, I'm not having to stop and explain like, oh, this is how this specific trick works or something like that. There'll just be a static point of reference for how to do each trick, and then the run explanation per level will be like the route and little tips about the route. So first and foremost, we have stop hops. So a stop hop is basically where your character gains momentum through like sprinting and jumping, and then you either carry that momentum by jumping as soon as you hit the ground, or you get more momentum as you hit a slope or something. So if we come back here, do this, you'll see I'm not hitting a direction, but I'm hopping. And it continues to let me go forward like a bunny hop. All right. And then we'll do it again, but this time I'll try to hit a slope. Didn't quite work. But you'll see, like, I try to do a stop hop up a slope. It doesn't work. Really? You start slowing down. You can hit a slope. You'll get crazy speed. There we go. I just like barely hit the bottom of the slope and I got a nice little speed boost. It was nice. You can actually just like stop hop all over the place if you want. I think your frame rate has to be a little bit higher in order to do stop hops. But yeah, and you can also tap W in the middle of a jump to change your direction. But yeah, a lot of places where there's a lot of ground to cover, but there's not a place where you can mantle warp or anything like that, you'll just kind of want to stop hop your way through if you can get some bonus velocity. Next, we're going to talk about the technology, the trick, the mantle warp. So for whatever reason, whenever they were making this game, they wanted to prevent us from being able to rail boost with foot grabs like we have been able to previously. So instead, they made it to where at the very last frame of your mantle animation, it will get your coordinates, your X and Y coordinates from your character and make sure that you're put on top of that ledge, right? So for whatever reason, when you open your map on that same frame and you move your map somewhere, it will write the coordinates of the exact center of your dossier screen, even if it's tilted, like, you know, it changes exactly where it is. But for the most part, the exact center of your dossier screen here, it's going to set your X and Y coordinates to here instead. So there's a couple different ways to do a mantle warp. It's perfectly legal to toggle your frame rate really low in order to make it happen. The timing works a little bit differently for the in-game max tick rate bindings as well. So I use the auto hotkey script. So any of these that I'm describing to you is going to be with the auto hotkey script. Any of the timings, that is. So the first ones that we started doing were at 2 FPS. Okay. At 2 FPS, you're going to initiate the mantle. And as soon as you hear the sound of the gloves click, you're going to count 12 frame advances. I'll show you what that looks like. So to do the mantle warp, I'm going to cap my frames to 2, and then I'm going to initiate the mantle warp. As soon as I hear the gloves click, I'm going to count 12 frame advances, open the dossier on the 12th frame, and then we go from there. Okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I did it exactly on the 12th frame advance. I uncapped my frames. And then I'm going to move to where I need to be. I'm going to cap to 30. And then I'm going to do a buffer. A single map dossier buffer. And boom. I put you where you need to be. All right, so now we're going to do a mantle warp at 4 FPS. So at 4 FPS, the frame advances just happen a lot faster. You still need to open on the 12th frame advance. So typically I'll count to 11 and then try to open on the 12th frame. So I count 11 and then press tab. So we're going to count to 4. We're going to hear the gloves click, count to 11, and try to open the map on the 12th frame advance, and then do the warp. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That may have worked. There we go. Yeah, easy. You can also kind of just do a mantle warp if you're a gamer. You're basically trying to get at the very last part of your mantle animation to do uncapped Mantle Warps, and it really is one of those things you kind of just have to feel out. If you wait long enough, but not too long, when you're mantling the ledge, you can do the Mantle Warp. You still have to cap to 30 to do the buffer. I don't know why you still have to cap to 30 on the map. You just do. But alas, I'll try to do one real quick because there really isn't like an exact science to it. Yeah, you could sit here and make visual cues for every single one, but honestly, once you get to the point where you can do Mantle Warps really well, you can kind of just let them rip from anywhere if you know the timing of it. So here, we'll see if we can just kind of do one. Yeah, like that. So I've just been doing this a while, so I kind of just know the timing. But yeah, you just grab the ledge, open the map, go where you're trying to be, cap to 30, and then do a map buffer. Another piece of tech that we use is the shield charge boost. So there are two ways to do a shield charge boost. One of them is without buffering or using like a specific input setup. And then the other one is called a late timing shield charge boost, where you use your key bound to shoot and map on the same key, and then you open the map and it just lets you do the shield boost. So I'll try to show you both of those. It may take me a couple of tries to get a shield boost to actually work because I suck at them, but I'll try to show you one with and without the hotkey. All right, so basically the way that the shield boost works is that you are above an enemy and you shoot while the reticle for a shield charge is disappearing. That's like the basic mechanic of it. There we go. It's very, very specific with its timing. There are people who are a lot better than me who can do them very well. So, for the people who are bad, aka me, we have the late timing boost with the hotkey. So, it's the same premise. We're just going to start running off the ledge. Once we see the reticle, we're going to press that hotkey, mine set to B on the keyboard. We're going to press that hotkey that shoots and opens the map at the same time. Then we're just going to open the map, and that would have been the boost. But yeah, I guess thinking about it too much fucked it up. 1 second. I may have killed the guys. I did. 1 second. All right. Press the hotkey, open the map, and we do the boost. Just like that. Past that, there's really not a lot of specific tech to use that I can think of off the top of my head, at least. But yeah, there's the main tricks that we do throughout the run that aren't level specific. All right, so we're starting a new game. We're going to play on the Aspiring Slayer difficulty, just because, you know, we're trying to go fast. Doesn't matter how hard it is. Enemies, that is. And we leave everything at default. Everything just stays the same. There are other categories that affect like game speed and sliders and stuff. Doesn't matter. This is just basic any percent. One note is if you are going to do the run, you do have to show your save file setup before you submit a valid run. So that is important to note. Your run may be denied if they don't see this screen and the settings on it. At least like the main settings, because it shows game speed straight away on here. And that's the main differentiator between the categories. Doesn't matter. Let's go. So game time actually starts on first player input. What we're going to do is we're going to run straight up here. We're going to shield charge these guys, and then we're going to do a Mantle Warp, okay? All right, that should work. If you're using the same FOV that I'm using, you can kind of tell when a Mantle Warp's going to work because your camera will be slightly more zoomed out. But we're basically going to set our map right here. So you'll want to try to get as close to right here as possible because the turret's like right here. So let's see if I got the warp. Didn't quite work. Let's try again. I'll be back when I get a warp that works. Oh, well, there we go. It just straight up worked. Awesome. Sick. So, once you get the warp, you're good to go. We're going to activate the turret. And then it's pretty much just kind of similar to how combat routing would be. We're going to make sure that we kill the big guys with the barrels quickly. It does not matter if you take off these stragglers. I just like doing it because they're annoying. And there's kind of nothing else to do during this part other than hold down the shoot key and wait. But yeah, you'll get a feel for where these barrel guys spawn. And then we're going to try to shoot this guy as soon as he lifts up his mace right there. You can actually do it a little bit earlier. But yeah, I usually wait until the mace lifts all the way up. Because if you try to shoot him beforehand, he'll actually bug out. And it won't take 3 shots, it'll take 4. But yeah, we basically just press and hold until it is done. And there we go. That's village. Very quick. Very easy, not that hard. All right, so in Hebeth, the first thing we're going to do is pick up the shield chainsaw thing. We're going to try to get some stop hops off of here and then activate this guy. The more stop hops you can get, the better. And then on the first frame we can, we're going to open the pause and restart checkpoint. The reason why we do that is because in the game, you can actually move during the black screens. And you're kind of stuck in this animation after you pick up the shield chainsaw. So we're going to reload checkpoint, and we're going to be able to move during the black screen. So you'll see here, I was able to move. I like pressed over and W, like pressed A and W, and I was able to move during that black screen. So there are 2 options for where you can mantle warp in this situation. One is right here. This is the faster one. The other one is over there. Both the mantle warps work basically the same. But yeah, we come over here. We start the mantle. And then the location that we're attempting to warp to is right over here. Okay. We zoom out. You'll see this is actually where the end of the level arena is. And when we warp over here, we're going to void out and we'll be in this little room. So let's see if my mantle warp worked first try. It did. And that puts us here. Your other option is to go do a mantle warp from up here. And there's actually like a little bit of invisible stuff you can grab on right there. We jump up. We can do the mantle off of that. I don't usually do this one, so my timing's probably a little off. There we go. And you did the mantle warp. So to do this next section, it's probably best to frame it like how you should optimally try to do the combat encounter. All the enemies have set spawns, so I'll do my best to kind of explain the best relative route to use to kill them all. But you kind of just want to spam shield throw, charge, and shoot on all the enemies that you encounter. And you want to make sure that you also melee execute all of the trigger enemies as well. Because even though we don't have the punch move, meleeing an enemy regardless will give you ammo back, and we're going to need it. Okay. You also kind of want to try to do a shield boost off of these guys. I'll see if I can do one. Okay, didn't work, but yeah, you can try to do a shield charge boost to go a little faster here. But here, we're just going to shoot this guy and kind of just spam all of our inputs for firing. Make sure we're meleeing each one. We're going to come over here, kill this Hell Knight. Come over here, kill this Imp. This Mank's going to spawn again. Then we have this Phantom Imp right here. Alright. We skip a little cutscene and we reload checkpoint. because we actually kind of can't move there for a second whenever we load back in. So we reload checkpoint, and we're going to start moving forward and shield bash into the pinky guy. Like that, during the black screen. Now here, you want to kind of keep a little bit of distance so you can use the damage from his crossbow bolt. Because we're going to be really limited on ammo here. And if you kill him in just the right way, you should end up having just enough to kill both phases of this guy without needing to go grab ammo. It doesn't always happen. But yeah, there you go. And if you end up not having enough ammo, because this combat section is a little hard to do fast, there's 2 shotgun pickups right here. You can just run back and pick up these 2 shotgun pickups. Not a super huge deal. But we just melee this guy, and we end the level. So Barrier Core is pretty fun. One thing to note is that if you didn't turn off tutorials, you're going to have a dumb tutorial bit here. If you turn off tutorials in the menu, you will not have like the barriers or what have you, and we can just run forward. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get out of bounds. We're going to take advantage of a little weird piece of geometry right here to fling us up onto the top of an invisible wall right there. So the lineup is not ultra precise. You can kind of just do it. But what I like to do is I like to get right up against this tentacle and then look about right here and then dash forward. And that puts you up on the wall. That was a little funky, but you know, it can, yeah, it worked out. Fortunately, a lot of this route is not too bad as far as being precise, but there are a couple of parts that you want to be mindful of. So I'll kind of just show you a walkthrough of everything. You'll want to be sprinting the entire time, because otherwise you'll get to certain spots where you won't have enough speed to make it past an angle or something. And yeah, that's no bueno. So I'm going to save a position here real quick. Cool. And we'll start running, okay? And also, sometimes you might lose your ability to sprint. If that happens, you can turn around. I don't know why it works. You can turn around, start sprinting, and then whip your mouse back around the right way, and you'll be able to sprint again. I think it has something to do with, like, being in a half-grounded state or something. Regardless. So we're just going to run forward, and the first thing that we're going to need to be mindful of is we want to follow roughly this line. If you see my crosshair there, we're going to roughly follow this line around and try to walk over this side of this building. Okay. So we're going to be sprinting. Up, it happened again. Turning around and sprinting. Okay, I messed it up because I'm thinking about it. We go through. There we go. Just like that. It is a very, very fine invisible wall, so you need to be careful. But typically I'll use like the little Atlan health bar to help roughly guide me as to where I need to be. I'm looking like all the way down every time to give myself a consistent visual cue with that health bar there. There we go. Just like that. And we walk all the way forward this way. And then this path here is not too precise, okay? The path to get up to the next section is not ultra precise. Okay, let's get our sprint back. We're gonna come this way. And then your goal here, I'm gonna take a couple steps back so I can point. Your goal here is there's this little curved bit in this terrain. You're going to kind of bank off of a wall that's right here and walk in a straight line this way. Okay. You don't follow this yellow line. You don't follow the yellow paint lamau exactly. You want to be kind of offset to the right of it. All right, so this might take me a couple of tries because I'm thinking about it too much. So I'll get a good attempt in. There we go. All right. So it's a little weird. It takes some getting used to. And honestly, man, I've gotten to the point where it's better if I don't think about it when I'm doing it. I just like turn off my brain and do the route. But after some practice, you can get that down, no problem. It's not a huge deal. Now, this section doesn't ultra matter exactly where you are. You can go too far into bounds and fall down. But as long as you follow a relative path around this building, like right there, you should be fine. Let's go ahead and get my sprint back. Again, you want to be sprinting the whole time, otherwise your sprint just gets messed up like this. There we go. So we're going to follow this path here. And we're going to go this way, and this place is wide open. Doesn't matter in this place. This place is wide open. You just don't want to fall too far in there. But yeah, our next lineup is going to be going directly between these 2 points here and following a relatively specific route to be able to drop in to where you normally jump over the chasm to get to the last section, okay? So we're going to run through here. We're going to hop this little corner, and then we're going to take this route. Feel free to replay and slow this down if you need to. Then we're going to go off this corner. We're going to land as far as we can here. You see you got the save. If you see that you got the little saving profile thing, that means it worked. And we're going to come over and we're going to punch these fools in the face, okay? So you want to try to attack and dodge on the same, in the same instance, like on the same input, so you can preserve your punch. It's like a little glitch. All right. I don't know if it worked there. It doesn't work every time. It did not, but that's okay. This part is pretty much really just like play the game. Kind of annoying in that way. Trying to see if I can get that punch thing to work. So I think it's like maybe right when it makes contact with the enemy that you can save it. I don't know. But it's pretty much just play the game there. All right, and here you want to be careful. You don't want to get this guy into a weird bugged state where he becomes invincible. I found that the way that he becomes invincible is if you punch him with an empowered punch while he has a shield up. It just acts weird for whatever reason. But yeah, so like here, you can use the ground pound to interrupt the shield and then come back in and punch him. And yeah, that's pretty much barrier core. All right, so going into Sentinel Barracks, we're going to need to collect 2 rubies. All right, one of the most important weapons in the run for us is going to be the Empowered Ravager. So we need throughout the run to get 3 rubies, at least 250 gold, and the 1 power-up crystal thing. I forget the name right now. I only played the game once. So first and foremost, we're going to come here, and we're going to do a Mantle Warp. So I usually set my camera like this, and I line up to where I'm going to be between these 2 opaque boxes. I let the Mantle Warp go off. You know that you're in the right spot if you're kind of relatively right here. And you want to actually land right here. Okay? You do want to land. The reason why you want to land is because you want to run off of here and jump, because we're going to be trying to hit a checkpoint trigger to get us into the room with the ruby and that also leads to the next section of the level. All right, so we're just going to sprint off, come down here, jump, and it saves profile because that room is actually right up there. Once you see the saving profile, that means that you're good to restart checkpoint. And you want to go ahead and start moving while you're in the black screen of the checkpoint. My sprint didn't go off, so that's awesome. But yeah, we're going to pick up this ruby. This is one of the 3 rubies that we need. We're going to come over here. We're going to jump down. And then you can actually press W about right here to start moving forward. And you can grab this before you hit the ground and save some time. So that's something that you're going to want to attempt to do. If you don't get it, it's not the end of the world, whatever. But here we're going to get the Impaler, okay? The Impaler is going to be one of 3 weapons that we use in this run. Once we have it, we're going to do a Mantle Warp to the next ruby. So we're going to go ahead. You typically won't have to worry about these guys because, you know, whatever. Let's see. Yep, that's fine. Let me pick up some ammo real quick so I'm not weird on it. Okay, but anyway, we're going to do a Mantle Warp right here. Once we do the Mantle Warp, we want to come right over here because the statue for the crystal is right here. We do the Mantle Warp. Let's hope it works. It did. And you can also grab this before you hit the ground too. That's pretty nice as well. So there's one of 2 ways that you can get over to the boss. Some people like doing a Mantle Warp off of this thing. I personally don't like it because of the way that the timing I do in my head works. But if you don't want to do this one, you can always just reload checkpoint and do another Mantle Warp from that other, from like the first run that we did. Basically the same Mantle Warp, but going to the same place, right? Or a different place, right? So here, we'll see if we can get it to work. Grab that, we do a Mantle Warp off of this, and we're going to try to get inside of this area. If we void out way over the map over here, it will land us about like right here in front of the Vagary boss. So let's see if I got it. I did. There we go. And that would be the same place that you position your map if you decided to reload checkpoint, go back to where you get the Impaler and do the Mantle Warp from there, okay? So now we're going to do the Vagary fight. Now, the Vagary fight is cheesable, and you have to move in a very specific way in order to get the boss's AI to bug out. So, we're going to go ahead, get in here. I'm going to immediately turn around and run straight towards this ammo, hit this wall, and then follow it down, okay? That should put the Vagary in the perfect position to where I can shoot at it from here. Now, we want to make sure that we shoot it in the ass every time, because it actually does take bonus damage if you shoot it in its ass. So we're going to try it out here. This could take me a couple of tries. But ideally, if you shoot it and you empty your entire clip into it, if every shot hits it in the ass, you should be able to just headshot it a couple of times with the ammo from right here, then put it into a stagger state, circle around it, and shoot it in the ass a couple more times with a shotgun, and end the level, okay? So let's try it. Okay. So if that happens, if the Mank pushes it, whatever, just kind of try and fight it, or you can reload checkpoint. I'm going to reload checkpoint, and I'm going to give it like a solid example try. But yeah, that's not the end of the world if that happens. Just kind of try and fight it and kill it however you can. You may run out of ammo. In that case, you need to reset checkpoint anyway. But yeah, there are a couple of ammo pickups around. Alright, so I got lucky here, and he's far away enough from that Mank to where the Mank isn't going to push him. Right? Alright, you can also parry his things. That'll help get him in a stagger state faster. I just circle around, and then I melee him. So yeah, you want to make sure that every opportunity you have to parry his green projectiles is also used, because that helps get him into a stagger state faster. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, so Holy City is the only level where capping your frames affects damage, and it affects the damage of the dragon. Okay? So in this level, and just this level specifically for the dragon section, we want to cap to 120 frames per second. Couldn't tell you why. You just actually do more damage. So with the dragon, as I'm sure you're aware if you played the game, if you're doing your boost, your shots go faster. And if you use the bind to use your scroll wheel to shoot, you'll notice you shoot projectiles much faster. Okay? So you shoot the projectiles much faster. One thing to note, however, is that your projectiles, your standard projectiles, do not do more damage the faster you shoot them. The damage actually has a cooldown. So if you're using your normal shots, that damage has a cooldown. There are also certain enemies that have a cooldown on the amount of damage they take, even from empowered shots. You'll see here in a moment, you can carry your empowered shots out of the right-click focus enemy state, and there are certain enemies that will take more damage with those shots. There are certain enemies who have a static damage cooldown. But regardless, you want to try to get as many effective shots in on enemies as possible. So for this next part that's coming up, it's kind of hard to get everything in one, like, empowerment, I guess you could say, because there's a static length for the amount of time you'll be empowered from dodging a projectile. We want to try to kill all 3 of the shielded turrets in one empowerment by kind of just like zooming around like an idiot and hitting the turrets as fast as we can. So we're going to kill this demon here. We'll get empowered, let go of right click, and then start doing the turbo boost. We're going to kill this demon. We're going to kill the bottom turret, the top turret, and then whip around to the middle turret and try to kill them all in one empowerment. Right? Get empowered, and then immediately start spamming. Kill turret. Kill turret. Kill turret. There we go. Sick. Just like that. Now, we don't actually need to kill this thing. So, ideally, you just want to try to get to the next section as quickly as possible. But yeah, these ships will pretty much always be in a state where you can kill them. Alright, we come up here. As soon as we pass this ridge, we can start spamming E. I was tilted up a little bit too long, so kind of fucked up. And here, it's basically just play the game, do a couple stop hops, skip as fast as possible, and then get back on the dragon. Right, at this point, you can uncap your frames if you want to. Doesn't super matter. Damage isn't super affected by FPS in this game. But we're going to start heading down this way, because we're going to take advantage of some geo down here to clip out of the map and get to the next section. This is honestly super easy, and you can like flub around with it and figure it out probably in a couple of seconds. So I'm going to kind of just do it, but the point is you want to keep on trying to stay in a turbocharged state and get underneath this geometry. Okay, so we're going to come down here. All right, it's going to stall us out. I'm going to keep on trying to charge. Cool. And there we go. It's super free. Then we're going to go up at kind of a 45-degree angle till we get up here. And we're going to travel up this tower. And then you'll notice right where this ledge is, as soon as you pass this, if you go up here and squeeze against the wall, you'll be able to hit that pad. It is not precise even a little bit. As long as you're coming in here, you'll be able to hit this pad. As far as the combat routing here goes, they have added random mank spawns. So typically what I'll do is I'll come over here and shoot this barrel, then switch to the impaler to kill this mank. Then you want to try and shoot this guy off the top of the pinky. Hit the pinky a couple of times. Again, we still don't have a melee, so we want to make sure that we melee each guy. If I see a mank, I'm going to kill a mank, because they are random spawns. And we're just going to kill this guy. I usually switch over to shotgun. If he gets near a barrel, I shoot the barrel. And then try to get some headshots in on him. Want to parry him a little bit. Cool. Sometimes you have to melee more than once. These guys are pretty easy to kill. Melee him, get some ammo. Here's our last mank. And there you go. One thing to note, even if you do pass this barrier, like with a wheel clip or something like that, you cannot hit the end-level trigger. We've already tried, unfortunately. So yeah, the only thing to really be concerned about in this fight is the random mank spawns. For the most part, the first mank, the second mank, the pinky, the Hell Knights, and the Vagary, they're all pretty much static. And you can just run this back several times and get better at doing the combat. And you want to make sure that you're also aware of which weapon is the most effective to use at which time. So an Impaler headshot is almost always going to be better than a shotgun shot in any instance. Unless, of course, you have like the Vagary that has the armor on, right? You want to try and like weaken the armor on their torso, shatter the armor, and then get as many headshots as possible, and that'll do maximum damage as well. So anyway, we just come this way, try to do some stop hops, and end the level. All right, so now we're on to Siege 1. Siege 1, pretty easy. What we have to do in this level is we need to grab the flail, and then we just need to end the level, because the flail is, of course, how we're going to ensure that we can get ammo. So we're going to do a Mantle Warp from here. This is where I usually do it. Pretty much anywhere is fine. If you find a place that you like better. I think Seeker does his from over there or something. There's also one here if you want to do this. But I usually just do my Mantle Warp from right here. And then we're going to come over to this room. Okay. Unfortunately, we can't just go straight into exactly where the flail is going to spawn. The trigger is about right here. So I typically just do my Mantle Warp into this room. You can also try and get some stop hops because, you know, with the velocity you get from hitting the ground, if you get a nice stop hop, you can do like bunny hops all the way to the flail. But yeah, we're going to come over here. We're going to scoop up this flail. Unskippable cutscene, super fun. That was weird. All right, and then we're going to come up and we're going to do another Mantle Warp. We're going to do that Mantle Warp from off of here. We're going to want to position our camera about right here, because this is where the in-level zone is. This whole box right here basically is where the in-level zone is. If you're too far this way, you'll fall into the void. If you're too far this way, you'll clip into bounds. It's about right here. And then we end the level. Super free. Siege 2 is almost as short and easy, fortunately, because in this one, we just have to get to the end of the level. So Seeker was telling me that the setup that he uses is like, he doesn't move his mouse at all. And as soon as his cursor passes the floor in front of you when you're doing the mantle, that's a good way to time it. I've just been getting better at Mantle Warp timing, I guess. But regardless, we're gonna do a Mantle Warp here. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself.
Shield is down.
We're gonna do a Mantle Warp here, and we're gonna come down to this area, okay? It does not matter where in this general area that you do the Mantle Warp, you're going to void out and you're going to be put over here on the map, okay? So we'll do the Mantle Warp. Okay, I did embarrass myself. Awesome. There we go. Easy enough. And then you can either come up here and just like walk to the end level trigger, but you can also attempt to do a Mantle Warp off the top of this thing, because it's any ledge grab, right? Even on the top of one of these climbable surfaces, right? So let's come up. So you can try to do a Mantle Warp literally just like onto the button, which I have just done, which is cool. Or you can walk up this pathway, jump down here, and then walk. Okay, but definitely the fastest way is to do the Mantle Warp and get over here. And then you just hit the end level trigger. Alright, so Forest is a little bit of a doozy. Alright, we're going to do our first full level skip here. It's called Forest to Forge skip. So we're going to be skipping the entirety of the Abyssal Forest and almost the entirety of Forge to that last encounter of Forge. First and foremost, we're going to come over to this branch. All right, this is going to be the spot that we're going to mantle from. We're going to do the mantle, and we need to set our map up in a very, very specific way. You can be off by 10 in-game units and this shit not work. All right, so I'm going to explain the map setup. Keep in mind, this is at 120 FOV. This is the map setup for 120 FOV. I'm going to show you the map setup, and then I'm probably going to fail it a couple of times, and I'm going to show you a successful attempt. All right, so let's scroll all the way out, and we're going to whip our map around here. We're then going to click and drag our map all the way into the back left corner. Don't stop moving the mouse until you're all the way into the back left corner. Then we're going to hold right click and we're going to pivot our map. And our visual cue is the side of this building over here. This is our visual cue. We want to have a teeny tiny little gap between that roof and the side of our monitor. All right. We basically want it exactly lined up with the side, but I'm going to try to get it in the perfect spot. Okay. Okay. That should be just about right. Okay. So it's just a like tiny little hair, like a hair gap right there. Okay. Now we're going to left click and drag the map, and we kind of want to drag to where we're pushing back against the back wall of the map and sliding to the right at the same time. So we're going to slide over. I'm actually like sliding my mouse forward and slightly to the left, but we're going to slide over. And the next spot that we're going to be looking at is right here, okay? This little spot right here. What you can do is you can zoom in, and we want these two little dots to be halfway covered up by this pathway. So we're going to slide over, and these two little dots are about halfway covered up by this little walkway here. Then, very importantly, we need to zoom all the way out again. And this is when you would try to do the Mantle Warp. We are now in the exact position that we need to be in for the Mantle Warp to work. Once the Mantle Warp happens, there's going to be a big gray box off in the distance. you want to immediately line up with the left side of that box, relatively, and press and hold W to walk forward, because we are within units of landing where we need to land, okay? So I'm going to see if the Mantle Warp worked. It did. Super sick. So we're going to immediately uncap our frames, open the map, and hold forward. And I'm looking at the left side of that box and holding forward. Boom. And we landed exactly where we need to be. So that is the exact precise setup that you need in order to get this to work. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to do it fast. But fortunately, once you're here, you're pretty much fine. You just run off of this ledge. You don't have to run off in any specific kind of way. You just run off of it, right? And you void into the final arena in Forge. So there is a specific route that you want to take in this fight. If we're looking at the map like this, you want to fight this pack, then go to this pack, then go to this pack, and then go to this pack and loop around to the boss. Okay? If you want some extra count, you can start off by like running this way, killing a couple of dudes here, the like 3 imps here, and then coming over here. Because the only things that count towards like what I'm calling count is the basic soldier enemies and every like higher level demon. The other fodder stuff, like the little zombie whatever dudes, they don't count. It's only like the baseline soldiers that will still count toward count if you're a little bit low. So in order to start the fight, we come over here and we stand in front of this thing, and when this barrier goes up, that triggers the actual combat. So typically what I'll do is I'll come over here. I'm using the Impaler the whole time because it'll one-shot kill these imps in their face. Alright, get a little low on ammo. So you want to kind of conserve your shots a little bit. Both your melee and your Impaler shots, because we don't have a real gun yet. So you just want to make sure that you're not like completely murking all of your ammo, that you're going to be able to kill something with just your Impaler, and get those melees off on folks to get your ammo back, okay? So I'm kind of low on ammo here. But come here. Mostly just about being efficient with your resources. Oh, shit. And you can actually shoot this guy in his dome and shoot him off at the top of this pinky, which saves you a melee animation. Very slight optimization, not like a huge deal animation, or optimization rather. And yeah, the combat, you know, like there's a lot that you can do with the combat, sure, but it's a whole lot of mostly just play the game. You can pick up that mega health if you're getting a little low. And yeah, you just melee the dude. You just melee the dude, and there's the level. Sick. So Plans is pretty easy. It's one of those really, really short levels. We're going to come up to this sconce, and we're going to do a Mantle Warp, okay? Now, in order to get the mantle off of the sconce, you have to be playing at a high frame rate, and you kind of just walk into it. You don't have to jump or anything like that. You kind of just walk into it. Like that. So we're going to walk into it. Oh, walk into it. And then we're going to do the Mantle Warp to right over here. There's going to be a little pickup, gold pickup here that we need to make the amount of gold that we need. And then we just go to the end of the level. So there we go. Super free. We just melee this. Come up here. And you don't even have to be too precise with the end level trigger. You just like jump over there. And it's free. Alright, so in Hellbreaker, during the Atlan section, It is mostly just play the game. There are a couple of tricks that you can do to make the gun shooting section a little faster. But for the most part, yeah, it's just play the game. One thing to note, though, is that we do want to make sure that we finish these two challenges, which are really easy to do. You do the perfect dodge challenge as a consequence of playing the video game, but whenever we come up to the first two titans that we're going to kill, we basically just need to line up a little bit to stomp them both, and then that's going to help us meet our gold quota. There's also going to be another gold pickup that we'll get later, but you'll see that when it happens. So yeah, basically, we kind of just play the game here. Whenever you do a hard fall off of an Atlan as well, or a hard fall in an Atlan, you kind of want to try to dodge as soon as possible as well. Saves you a little bit of time. But here, we're just going to do a ground pound. Finish that challenge. And then we're just back to playing the game. So with the gun section, we want to try and shoot two titans at the same time whenever we have the opportunity to do so. Because that little circle crosshair, it actually will let you... You'll kind of see what I mean. We stand over here so we can get this guy to attack us, and then boom, you'll see that I actually did hit that guy in the back as well. So again, we kind of just play the game. Try to shoot two at a time. Check our surroundings. We don't want to be too close to a lot of these dudes, because we want to make sure that we have plenty of projectiles to dodge and keep our shots empowered. Each one of the dudes with the armor and only the mace are going to take like 3 shots. The guys with the shields are going to take 4 shots, and the guys with the shields, if you get too close to them, will put up the shield, and that's also bad. So yeah, we're just going to kill these dudes. Here you go. You're welcome. And then boom. Now we're on to the actual fun part. We're going to come over here, and we're going to do a Mantle Warp off of this glove. Do the Mantle Warp, and then we want to be about here. This does not have to be precise, just about in this region, because we're going to void out underneath the ground. Just like that. We void out, and we're here. Then we're going to do another Mantle Warp to void out off of this. And we want to line up our map about right here, okay? We're kind of looking to be about right here. Now, there is a chance that you will kind of just fall into the abyss and not actually hit the void out. But if you're about right here, you should get the void out and it shouldn't be a problem. So there we go. Now, do not forget, we need this. We need this. Boom. And we got it. We needed that gold really bad, because we've almost hit our gold threshold for what we're going to need to fully upgrade the Ravager later. We kind of just do some stop hops, come over this way, and then we do the combat at the end of the level. So typically what I'll do, Impaler, melee, shield, Impaler, Impaler. Try to shoot this guy in the head as many times as possible. Kill the snake. And then we want to be close to this guy at all times. Otherwise, he puts up his shield. Alright, if you're starting to get low, just hit him with a melee. And you just shoot him in the face. Shoot him in the face repeatedly until he dies. And then you want to run to where the portal would spawn as soon as possible. Because even if the portal hasn't actually spawned, it still triggers. And that's pretty much it for that level. Not too bad. And we finished both of our mission challenges, giving us the gold. So at this point, we should be pretty fine on gold. We shouldn't have to worry about gold for the rest of the run. But yeah. All right, so now that brings us to Sentinel Command Station. Sentinel Command Station, very based, very cool. We have a couple of Mantle Warps to do, and there is a mission challenge that we have to do here. We're also finally going to have a real gun. Imagine having a real gun. So first things first, we're going to come over here, and we're going to do a Mantle Warp off of this box. Where we want to land is right here on this platform. So you want to come to this platform, and we're going to have to walk back a little bit to trigger all the enemies way down below. So we're coming over to this platform, triggering the enemies. Then we're going to jump down here, and we're going to finish the challenge by shooting these 2 barrels. Just like that. Shot those 2 barrels. We got the challenge completed. And that challenge gave us our 3rd ruby. So we're good on that. Now, we don't have to worry about rubies anymore. Super easy. Next, we're going to do a Mantle Warp off of here. Normally, you go straight into it, so you don't have to worry about the enemies. We'll see if I got it first try. Probably not. Oh, I did. Sick. All right. So yeah, you just do a Mantle Warp, and you're doing it right over here to this little section, because this is where the gun is. So we made it. We pick up the weapon. Sweet. And now we have our real gun. Very fun. So there's 2 places, well, kind of 3, but there's basically 2 places that you can do the Mantle Warp in order to get to the end level trigger. One of them is right here with kind of a weird setup that you only want to do if you get really good at Mantle Warps. The other one is right over here off of this box, okay? Kind of get these shells out of the way, and then you can do a little mantle off of there. What are you doing? Oh. Anyway. So, in order to do the Mantle Warp off of this box, you jump, and then before you hit the ground, you press W to initiate the mantle. So you jump like that, and you initiate the mantle. And then you can come over here, and you can do the Mantle Warp. And we're aiming for this pad, because as long as you hit this pad, then you hit the end level trigger, and you're good, okay? The other one, right over here, same thing, just a mantle. And we did it. Just popped us over to the end level trigger, just like that. All right. So from beyond, you basically want to immediately head down to this section past this turret. Because we're going to do another one of those glitchy, out of bounds dragon things. We're going to get underneath this rock, and we're going to boost into the side of that building, then come down here and get through a little gap underneath those rocks. If you fiddle around with it and play with it a little bit, you'll get it. It's not hard. But what we're looking for right there is we're looking for the saving profile to show up as we fly into this section. Once we do that and we save the profile, we got a checkpoint right here, so we can load checkpoint and we'll be back in bounds. And with this, we skipped an entire combat section. All right. Now, for this, we don't need to kill these ships. I have made a joke that killing these ships gives you minus 20 seconds off of your PB, but they are effectively useless to kill. There's no reason to prioritize them, okay? So we just want to get over here as fast as possible. So for these guys here, when you dodge and you get empowered, you can actually start spamming fire with your scroll wheel as soon as you get the dodge, okay? And these are one of the few enemies that are actually affected by faster empowered shots. So, You'll see I just like spammed really fast after I dodged, and it instantly killed it. One of the few enemies that actually works with. We skip our cutscene, and we start going. So we're going to come straight over this building, and we're going to try to take this out as fast as possible. Typically what I'll do is I will do my first dodge. These guys aren't affected by the empowered shots, it's just force of habit. Once this thing dies, I immediately go forward, start doing empowered stuff, try to kill all of these. And I want to actually get an empowered bolt off of this guy before he dies and bring it to the next tentacle boy. So we come over here, and we can just start spamming fire with click as fast as possible. Shooting with the weapon wheel can kind of bug out, so whenever you first lock into something, just like spam fire as fast as possible. Alright, and so for this one, typically I would do this, and then I would start killing this turret. Just run straight into homeboy here, and he's dead.
Subsection barrier is down. Lower levels accessible.
Alright, and again, the ships do not matter. But you can still try to kill them anyway for swagger. Alright. Dodge. Rapid fire. And then here, we're going to look for it saying save profile on the screen. And as soon as it says save profile, you reload checkpoint. So you don't have to wait for that cutscene there. As soon as it says saving profile, reload checkpoint. So restart from checkpoint. And this is actually going to bring you all the way up to the top of the tower where you need to be. Right? So this puts us up here. We kill this guy. He's also fleshy, so the fast shots work. You do fast shots, and then you immediately start looking over and press E. And then here, we see saving profile. As soon as we can, we reload checkpoint. And that's going to put us closer to the fight. So in this fight, we're going to be looking for the trigger enemies. So we're going to be trying to kill all the arachnotrons. We're going to try to be killing all the imps. We want to make sure that we kill the tank. All those guys. There's not a set route here, because the arachnotrons can kind of spawn in weird spots sometimes. But yeah, it's basically just like kill stuff as fast as possible and kill the boss as fast as possible. One thing to note, however, is that you do not need to kill the Vagary. You do not need to kill it. You can get enough count from soldiers and all the other empowered dudes. So don't worry about killing the Vagary. It takes too long. If you're a little bit low on count towards the end of the fight, then just try to find another soldier or two to kill. You usually get count pretty easily. So I'll kind of show you what the fight looks like here. Okay, get all those soldiers. And here we finally have the real gun too. So we can actually kill stuff effectively. Making sure that we're shield charging dudes as much as possible, killing huge packs of the soldiers. All right. Try to parry this guy, kill the tank instantly. See, there's an imp over here. There's an arachnotron. I'm moving towards it because I want to kill that quickly. Coming over this way. Kill that stone imp. There's supposed to be a snake over here somewhere, but it has probably wandered. That's fine. Arachnotron over here. Kill this dude. Little zombies don't count towards count, but that's fine. There's another imp there. There's the snake. Kill the snake. Kill that. There's going to be another arachnotron spawning shortly. There he is. Okay, here's another snake. The vagary should have just spawned. I'm ignoring it because we have enough count and we're good. Yeah, once you get the Ravager, a lot of the combat is literally just like point and click until it's done. And then, yeah, that's the whole level. All right, so Spire is really easy. There's basically just one Mantle Warp, and then you're done. You want to mantle off of this ledge right here. And then we're going to go into this room. And that's pretty much it. That's literally it. However you make that Mantle Warp happen is up to you. But that's all you got to do for this level. So the beginning of City is kind of an auto-scroller. I just went ahead and skipped it. But this is going to be another level where we do a full level skip. It's the City to Marshes skip. And what's really cool about this one is that you can basically hole-in-one straight from here to the in-level trigger in Marshes, which are pretty rad. So here I've loaded into the map, this section of the map rather. I haven't moved my character. And we're basically going to aim to do our Mantle Warp at roughly this angle. The angle isn't like super important, but this is just how I usually set it up. We're going to do a Mantle Warp, and then we're going to have a specific setup on the map. And a specific, like, press W and look this way timing thing. Kind of like Forest to Forge skip. Notice a correlation. So we're going to try to do this first try. It may take me a couple of tries. But yeah, I'll show you the setup. Okay. Once we open up the map, we're going to flatten her out like that. Just completely flat. Try and, have this going straight across your screen. Then we're going to move all the way to the back right corner. All the way to the back right corner. Once we come out of the map, we're going to line up the left iron sight on the Ravager with the objective marker in the distance. So let's see if we nailed it. We didn't. So let's get a good clip of it. There we go. All right. Lined up my iron sight there. Pressing W. And boom. We landed right here. And if we move into here, we end the level. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And you just drop straight down into it, and you end the level. And it's awesome. And you'll notice, completely skip Marshes. Super fun. So now we're in Temple. Temple kind of sucks. Temple is probably the hardest level in the game, in my opinion. It's probably the hardest shit to do. But that's okay, because we're gamers. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump to the top of this pillar. Now, for whatever reason, the timing is really, really weird for getting all the way up to the top. It's almost like you kind of have to bank yourself off of the ground with a specific timing to get all the way up there. I know that Seeker's been doing this with like weapon wheel timing or something. I have no idea how to do that. I kind of just flub it and it works. So yeah, you just jump up to the top. And then to get this mantle to work, you have to do it in a very specific way. You want to kind of start positioning your character towards this point, and you want to slide and fall off of this side of the pillar, okay? But you don't want to actually use a movement input to fall. You want to like, the surface starts getting really slippery, and you'll just start falling, and you want to press W at such a time as you will get a mantle, but you won't get a foot grab and get put back up on top of the pillar. So I'll try to show you that here. There we go. And then we're going to mantle warp into this portal here. Doesn't work the first time, that's all right. Okay. Fortunately, once you're up here, it's totally fine. You can just try again. So let's see. May have been too late. Nope, cool. We got it. And then we want to hit the green for that gate, okay? So in the water section, it's unironically faster to spam A and D while you're moving forward to move faster. It's like a, pressing two movement inputs at the same time kind of deal. It makes you go faster. It only really works in the water that I'm aware of. So we want to spam A and D the whole entire time we're doing this. And we want to go over the top of the ship, but not such that we will get stuck on the, what is that called? Leave in the comments if you know what that shit's called. Yeah, we'll go this way, and we want to aim kind of towards the top of the portal to have the shortest travel distance to get there. And we're here. Now, this next section is really, really tricky because the setups are pretty precise. And we're going to have a Baron that's going to spawn in, like, right there, who's super annoying. And we're going to be doing a Mantle Warp off the top of this upgrade station. Whenever you shield stagger the Baron, he's unable to attack for a couple of seconds, which gives you enough time to do a Mantle. So we're going to start sprinting forward, and not only is it going to help us get there faster, it's also going to stagger him and make it to where you can start the Mantle off the top of the upgrade station. So we start moving forward, he's spawning, shield charge, jump, and we do a Mantle Warp off the top of the thing. Let's see if I got it first try. I did. That's super cool. Otherwise, if you don't get that first try, you can just like fall down and shield stagger him again and keep trying until it works, or reload checkpoint and, try doing it all the way from the beginning again. But that's the very basics of what you need to do here. So we're now here, and the reason why we did that, and also, you can just walk if you want to. There will be a bunch of dudes around here for the next section, but yeah, if you can't do that Mantle Warp for whatever reason, the Baron's just like getting you down, man. Just walk. It's fine. But the whole point is that we're getting here. Next, we're going to sprint and jump up this section of wall to get to the next mantle location. And you want to make sure that once you start going, you don't stop. And you want to kind of try to like jump up on top of the ship, because you can very easily slide off of here. So you kind of jump and like curve up and get on top of the ship. And next, we're going to move right over to this section. So this warp is really precise because we have to land on a specific part of that ship over there so we can shield charge into that ring. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start the warp, and I'll show you the setup. All right. So now we're going to whip around our map, and we're going to get in this relative orientation. And we're going to come around over here and get ready to do a lineup. So we're going to zoom in as far as we can zoom in. And we want to line up the O in the word resources in this section of this black circle. And we want to line up this ammo, we call it an icon, whatever, right here. Okay. This is going to put you in the right spot to not slide off or completely miss this section of the ship. Okay, you can be within a couple of units of it and it's not that big of a deal, but it's pretty much going to be exactly right here is the setup. Now let's see if we got this first try. Probably not. I did. That's awesome. That's the second time that's happened this level. What the hell? And we land on top of the ship. Okay. Now, there is a chance, I'm holding forward right now so I don't, like, completely slide into a crack that I can't escape from, because there is a chance that you can slide into a little crack that you can't get out of. But yeah, and you want to try and shield charge. You want to try and shield charge to get up on top of the ship here. This whole section is really, really slippery. So see, like, I'm just sliding off because I'm having to think about it, right? So the whole section is really slippery. We're going to come up roughly to this plank here, and we're going to look up, and we're going to start jumping and spamming shield charge. And that'll let us get to the next section. I do apologize if my brain kind of turned off during the middle of that. I've never done that slow, and that ship is incredibly slippery. You kind of just have to do it, right? Just as soon as you get the Mantle Warp, you start moving towards that little, like, plank section on top of the ship and jumping and trying to spam the shield charge to get to that ring. But anyway, we're going to keep on moving along. Here, this is pretty much just play the game. So I'll probably skip ahead until we get to the next section. Again, just spamming A and D until we get to the next gate. All right, so here now there's a couple of routes that we can take. One is a longer route and one is a shorter route, but requires a tricky jump to do. I'll show you the longer route first so I don't get a bad checkpoint, but yeah, we'll go from there. There's also technically a third route with a shield charge boost, but for the life of me, I have not been able to get it to work. We're going to jump through this crack, kind of at the middle of that portal, and we're going to come around this way, okay? We're going to come around this way, and we're going to get to the other side of that ship. Not hard. Super not hard. The other way is we're going to go straight here, and we're going to do like a weird jump off of this ship and climb up to the next checkpoint section. So we're going to come this way, make sure that you stay on the ground, and then shield charge to that guy. Half the time it lets you stay where you need to be. The other half of the time it doesn't. But yeah, this guy is kind of in an inopportune spot. But we're going to cap to 30. We're going to run into here. We're going to jump up. Do like a little curve with our mouse and grab this ledge. It's easier at 30 for whatever reason. But we essentially just curve up there. There is not much more explaining of it than that. You kind of just have to try it a whole bunch until you figure out the exact angle and timing. It's super weird. So next up, we're going to do a Mantle Warp off of this thing. And we're going to mantle into this room with this Wraith Crystal. We're just going to pick that guy up. And then we're going to load checkpoint as soon as we're able to. Right here. Restart checkpoint. And then we're going to start running up these stairs. Super easy. Right. Next, we're going to put ourselves into this corner. And we're actually going to do our first weapon wheel clip of the game. Which, honestly, it's looking like it kind of just lets you through the wall. But you can make this go faster by weapon wheel clipping. You want to make sure you're running at, the highest frame rate that you can. We're going to hold the weapon wheel and then press W and D. And it kind of just lets you through the wall. That's just how weapon wheel clips work. It just lets you through. It's fine. So next, we're just going to jump over here. This little bit of trash on the ground. And we're going to climb all the way up. And then it's pretty much just press W until the level's over. There's not really a whole lot else to do. You can't stop hop off. You cannot stop hop off of this because the slope is curving upwards. But yeah, you just walk up. The lights turn out. Go into a black screen. And then you start moving. You can do some stop hops until you get to the end. Boom. And that's the level. Next up is Harbor of Souls. Harbor of Souls is pretty cool because you get to drop into the big into big ship. Very fun. So we're gonna run over here. We're going to line up roughly right here. It doesn't super matter. The goal is that we're going to do a mantle off of this little section of wall. So we're going to do the mantle. Okay, not quite close enough. There we go. We do the mantle. And then we're going to line up right over here. Okay? You want to line up right here. As soon as you're done with the warp, you're going to look down and to the right, and there's going to be a red dot in the distance. You want to press W until you're like, you feel like you're right above that dot. Okay, there we go. And then we just come over here. And now when you get over here, there's going to be a little drop down. You just want to drop down into this guy. And then we're going to wheel clip over to the left this way. And now with this wheel clip, you'll know that you're through when your character starts dropping down a little bit. Okay. Character started dropping down a little bit. I can let go. Come over here. And then we hit the trigger. So now we're loading into Resurrection. We want to start moving as soon as possible. And this whole entire area is kind of like a downward slope. So stop hopping to the end is actually effective. So we want to stop hop all the way to the water. Blood? Yeah, blood. Right, as soon as we get through here, we want to reload checkpoint as soon as we see saving profile, so we can start moving during the black screen. We want to make sure that we have our gun out, and we're going to purchase some upgrades. All right, we have our 310 gold, which really we only needed 250. We have our 3 rubies, and we have our wraithstone. So we're going to go to guns, and having your Ravager out already makes it to where you don't need to menu over to it. So that's why I pull out that gun first and then I open up the upgrade station. So we're going to slam the first upgrade. And then while this like splash screen for getting this upgrade is up, you can actually go and buy the second upgrade straight away. We're going to get this upgrade. What's this thing called? Slow burn? Yeah, slow burn. There we go. And then we're going to get Supplier. This is going to make it to where we can basically shoot infinitely forever. Then we back out of the menu as fast as we can. And we're ready to go. We now have our gun for the rest of the game. Super sick. So what we want to do whenever we go to do this first combat arena is we want to do a shield charge boost over to the Pinky and the Revenant over there. Which, by the way, do not try mantle warping over there because it won't trigger all the enemies and you'll be really sad. So, unfortunately, we do have to walk this way and everything's fine. So, we're going to go ahead and hold up our shield. We're going to hover over our hotkey for the late shield charge boost, and we're just going to boost. The reason why it's important that we absolutely get the shield charge boost is that it makes the combat AI work in your favor. We kill that guy up there. We kill this big empowered guy. We're just going to melee him like that. And there we go. I'm going to kill this Mank. And then we're going to kill this Baron. Now, one thing to note whenever you're doing combat in this game is that the Hell Knights, they will find you. Don't necessarily worry about like focusing them down or chasing them down or anything. They will absolutely find you. We're going to kill this Revenant. We're going to bust up all these guys with our shield. Shield charge into these soldiers. And then shield charge into these soldiers. We're a little low on count. So I must have missed, yeah. I missed a couple of soldiers over there. Normally you would kill those guys and everything would be fine. But I missed a couple. And then yeah, we're just going to kill the boss. And we're going to start walking over this way to our next mantle spot, okay? So now that we're in our next mantle spot, we're going to initiate a mantle warp. Didn't work. It didn't work again. One sec. There we go. All right. We're going to initiate the mantle warp, and we're going to come right over here. For reference, it's right here. And we're going to start the next combat. Okay, there's two ways that you can go about this combat. One is to SBC all the way back to the back of the arena. The other one is to start with the tank and the Mancubus over here. I think it's technically more optimal to shield charge boost to the back of the arena, but it's also not like, it's kind of a negligible time save, if any. So really you can kind of do it whichever way you want. I'm going to do it the way that I'm comfortable with, but if you see another person do a shield charge boost to the back of the arena, you're welcome to do that as well. So here, I come up, parry that, and then charge into this dude. It also just feels cool. Feels like you're in a fucking action movie or something, you know? Alright, kill these guys. Parry that tank while that guy's going. Come over this way. Kill those dudes. Then we're going to kill these enemies here in the back. Oh, I missed a guy because I'm thinking about it too hard. This guy is going to spawn. And then the jackal's going to spawn. Is that what they call these? Jackals? I don't care. I know that he needs to die, and he's in my way of finishing this game. So I kill him. So we just kill this dude, and we're good. Another little tip is that whenever something is in a melee state, if you shield charge them, it automatically starts a melee. So that's pretty good. So next up, we're going to do another mantle, and we're actually going to mantle right off of this broken piece of wall, okay? For reference as to where it is in the arena, it's like over here in this section. But yeah, you're gonna come over here. We're gonna do another mantle, all right? And then we're going to come down to this section for reference as to where this is. See, here's the map. Here's these two towers. We go all the way down here. We're going to this little tunnel right here. And we want to spawn kind of right here. Okay, that didn't work. And I mantled to the wrong spot. Just give me a minute to fix this. All right, let's try that again. There we go. And we're here. For reference. We're right here. All right, we're going to run up here. And now, pretty much the only thing to note about this combat arena is that whenever that Cyber Baron, or no, they don't call it Cyber, what? The Baron, the big guy that shoots the blades. Whenever that guy spawns, we're going to want him to be over in this section of the map. So that way we can get the quick kill on the witch. So here, we're going to come over, we're going to kill this guy. This is one of our trigger enemies as well. And then here's this guy. So we're going to bait him over to this section. This guy is going to spawn immediately. We're going to melee so it doesn't move. And then kill it. So yeah, essentially you don't even have to like melee and kill that Baron so long as you stagger it, like put it in a stagger state. And then you can start attacking the witch. And if your gun isn't already like revved up and ready to go, and you'll probably still need to melee a couple of times to get that witch to not move. The goal is to get the witch to not move and spawn that little spectral piece of shit that prevents you from attacking it. So normally you would come over here and this barrier would still be up, but we're actually going to run over here and get this berserk and get to the dragon as fast as possible. So you would normally be doing this like while a loading screen's going on or whatever. We're going to get over to the dragon as fast as possible. And then here it's pretty much play the game until we get to the boss fight, that is. There is going to be a Mantle Warp into the boss room. Alright, so here again, we can do the fast attacks. And usually what I try to do is I try to kill this guy with these empowered shots, so that way he doesn't ruin my day later. Because that ship will actually run into some of the beams that these guys spawn and prevent you from getting empowered. It's pretty wild. So anyway, we're going to come over here. Usually what I'll do is I'll start like slowly attacking this guy, get the second empowerment, kill him, and then go. That didn't work out super well. You kind of just have to do your best on this section. I'm still unsure of exactly the best way to kill these things. But yeah, you just kill those guys as fast as you possibly can, using the different techniques with the dragon and stuff. But here, we're going to do this Mantle Warp as fast as possible. We're going to come over here, do the Mantle. And thing to note also about where this Mantle spot is, if you die, or if you fail for whatever reason, these walls will no longer spawn. So the wall that I just grabbed onto, it'll no longer spawn. You kind of just have to walk and do like a weapon wheel clip into the room. So we're actually going to do a Mantle Warp into the boss room. We can get that to work here. There we go. And we kind of want to land closer to the front of the room so we can trigger the boss and start going. And we still have Berserk. We maintained our Berserk through the dragon section because the dragon section holds your player state, and we're going to be able to kill this guy without him going into the shield phase. So we're going to open up our map, we're going to go, and we're going to kill him. Kind of want to lead your shots with a Ravager as well, so it keeps on hitting the enemy. We're going to kill this guy, and then as soon as we load in here, we're going to restart checkpoint, okay? We want to restart checkpoint because we can completely skip this guy's shield phase if we melee him 3 times during the black screen. It breaks his AI and makes him not do his shield phase. So as soon as we press start, or space rather, to start, we're going to attempt to shield charge the boss from where we're at right now, and then just unload all of our melee strikes into him. So let's see if we get it. Didn't work. Try again. It is possible. Let's see if it worked. There we go. It can be a little tricky sometimes because if he even gets a moment. What? I haven't seen that before. Let's try again. Hey, at least you get to see the ways that it could go wrong. So there we go. All right. Just going to break that thing. And there we go. He's being staggered, and we literally just click at him. We just click toward him until he dies. Boom. There we go. The second phase of that boss is not like hard, right? It's just you have, if you don't get that shield charge and the melee stuff and you're stuck in shield hell, brother, that shit sucks. No thank you. So final battle's pretty interesting. In final battle, we're able to escape the suit, and that's pretty rad. That's pretty based and valid. So in order to get the suit skip to work, you need to skip the intro level cutscene as soon as it is physically possible. It took me a little bit to understand exactly how it works when I first started doing it, but the best way to summarize it is to skip that cutscene as soon as it is literally possible. And if you're not getting it, then you're probably not actually doing it as soon as literally possible. So we're going to go ahead and start. We're going to skip that cutscene, and then we're going to reload checkpoint almost immediately. All right, so that should have gotten it right there. And one thing to note, whenever you reload checkpoint and you're about to load back into the level, there's a small gap of black screen between like this here right now and that cutscene playing again, where you can hold W and spam space to charge the Atlan forward that you're about to be kicked out of. And it actually saves a considerable amount of walking distance. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Skip. And there we go. We would have normally spawned like way back there, right? But now it pretty much is just like walk until we get to the next spot. But we'll kind of go through the route a little bit. There is some nuance to it, but it's mostly just walk. So here, we're just going to do some stop hops. We're going to come here. And then this slope, this is a crazy slope. So you can get some crazy velocity doing stop hops off of here. We're going to get some crazy velocity. Go this way. Just keep on hopping. All right. Keep on hopping. And then we're going to shield charge as many of these PS1 looking ass enemies as we possibly can. All right, this section is a little bit more sloped up, so the stop hops don't work as well. So you can start sprinting again here. And we're just going to run straight through these buildings. Not even a problem. We're going to cut this corner kind of close. Save a little bit of walking time. And then we're going to come up in here, right? Now, you can technically just walk forward and you'll eventually make it through here. But you can also weapon wheel clip to make it go a little bit faster. And then once we get right here, there is technically a way to kind of like pop yourself up and jump straight up while you're in this stuck state. It doesn't work for me all the time. So sometimes you'll have to like get back into this crevice and then jump up. But yeah, get back in the crevice and we're going to try to time a shield charge jump to get up here, okay? Now, once we're up here, this is where we're going to do the Mantle Warp. And now, this Mantle Warp is pretty spooky. If you don't hit this Mantle Warp, then you just lost, like, however much time that just fucking took. But that's okay. So we're going to do the warp. We're going to be very careful. We're going to open our map. We're going to zoom all the way out. Zoom all the way out. And we're going to move our map this way. So I have a specific visual cue that I use in order to make this work. The first is that I look at this Q button in the in the interface, and I try to line it up with this tower right here. And then I scoot on back. And then I try to make it to where this tower is kind of halfway into this back tower right here. So this is my lineup for it. There are different lineups that you can use once you get a better feel for where you need to be. That's awesome. But yeah, this is my relative lineup. So I'm going to see if it worked. It did not. That's okay. So I'll come back whenever I get a Mantle Warp that works. All right, so we got the warp. We're going to look down, and we're going to land on top of the side of this arena. We're going to come over this way, and we're looking or this guy. This guy who's taking a little nap. He's taking a little nap. We are going to jump onto his stomach dirt. Somebody explained that to me in the Discord, and it made perfect sense to me, so I'm hoping it makes perfect sense to you. We are going to jump onto his stomach dirt, and then we are going to jump toward the arena. So we're going to come over here, jump down onto stomach dirt, and then jump over this way. Okay? If you do not jump far enough, you will fall down. Disclaimer. I do not know how to do the Mantle Warp here, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't, because it is very monka giga. If you're trying to get world record, you probably don't need this tutorial anymore. So we're going to come over this way, and we're going to hit the trigger for ass crack. It is around in this area. Once we do, we are going to come over here, and we're going to wheel clip back into the arena. While you are wheel clipping, you can hover over the Ravager to make sure it is the first weapon out whenever you're done with the wheel clip. You will know that you're done with the wheel clip whenever your character starts moving slightly faster. It's just one of those things that you'll kind of perceive. But until then, just keep on holding it, dog. Just keep on holding it. Okay, he started moving faster. We're jumping up, and we're starting to shoot. All right. So you want to watch your ammo while you're doing this fight. Typically what I'll do is I'll open up and just like fire on him. And then as soon as he gets out of this stagger state here, I melee twice just to get all my ammo back. You can pretty much ignore everything that's going on in this fight. It does not matter, and you aren't going to die. You basically just point and you click until he's dead. Okay. There is a little bit of nuance in phase 3 though. So, but otherwise, yeah, you just point at the boss. So here I'm watching my ammo. I am going to melee him one time because my ammo got below 100. So we're going to be good to go while he's in this current stagger state. And when he comes out of it, I should just about have 2 melee charges. Okay, shoot him a little bit more. 1, and doesn't matter. Super fine. And we want to wait until he's all the way down. There we go. Okay, now this section he's going to do his dumb, literally just waste my time crap. And you want to look out for the ones that are glowing, okay? And you want to try to run to them as fast as possible. You can tank 4 of them, or 5 of them rather, and just parry one of them, and you'll be fine. Okay. We're good, we're good. As he comes out of the stagger state, we'll be able to melee him for some ammo. Oh, that didn't work. That's super fun. Sometimes you get unlucky with the ammo as well. But to be honest, I haven't had that problem pretty much ever fighting this, so don't consider that law. I'm just like trying to commentate and think about everything way more than I usually do. So naturally, I'm probably going to make some mistakes. But yeah, that's pretty much it there. It's mostly an auto scroller other than the one hard Mantle Warp. And typically once you get to the Azrak fight, people are like, "Oh, cool, yeah, grats on whatever your time's going to be." Because the rest of the run is really, really easy. Like Resurrection, or what's this level called? Reckoning. This level is also really easy. So we're going to come over here and we're going to do a Mantle Warp. And we're going to try to Mantle Warp right here in this little square section. Didn't work the first time. I should have got it though. It doesn't work, not the end of the world. You just set back up. There we go. We're in here. And we're good. Oh, might need to move a little bit for the black screen to trigger. All right. We're going to shield charge this guy as soon as feasibly possible. We're going to pick up this Berserker, and then we're going to do another Mantle Warp to get closer to the boss room. Right? So we're just going to mantle over into this hallway. And we made it. And then we just killed the boss. Which at this point we have Berserker, so we kind of just melt him. There is one thing about the first phase, though. It's like, technically you're supposed to end the phase on the witch. So typically I'll kind of like loop around here so I can keep a little bit of an eye on where the witch's location is. And then I'll try to find her and put her in a stagger first. But she has to actually do a movement before you'll be able to melee her, as you kind of just saw right there. That one was a little bit unlucky. Like, that's like, oh shit, unlucky. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you put the witch in a good spot to where you can melee her and move on to the next section. But yeah, then you just point the weapon and you click on him. There you go. And that's the run. Right there is time. So yeah, I mean, Doom the Dark Age is a really fun speedrun. I've really been enjoying it. It wasn't fun for a while because of having to do Mantle Warps at really low frames per second. So one thing that I would suggest to you is kind of like reserve judgment until you get better at Mantle Warps. Because doing like the low FPS setups, like super low crap Mantle Warps, those suck. Those suck and they're not fun. It doesn't feel as skill-based. But once you get to the point where you're kind of like letting them rip uncapped, that's when it really starts getting more entertaining. So yeah, I hope this video has been informative. I appreciate you watching to the end if you have. Links to stuff that I've mentioned or any updates or whatever are in the description. Also, join the Modern Doom Speedrunning Discord. A bunch of great dudes. We'd be happy to help you. And tools and resources and things like that are also located in there. I've been Dialon57, and thanks for watching.